Hello, I have seen a lot of people that are very confused about the whole plot of the story of the patch Golden Dust. So I'm gonna try and sum it up both like I'm five and like you're five. I wrote myself like a 3-page Word document. That is about the most summing up that I can do for the story. So I'm just gonna read a script is effectively what I'm trying to say. Also, very obviously, if you haven't done the story and you don't want to be spoiled, leave the video now. Now that you haven't left, I'm gonna proceed. We may as well stare at my collage while I am doing this. We open up the patch while trying to get the full mark of reincarnation. Currently, we have half of it. Why? Because Parksolians are currently keeping the world going, but their dragon and human souls fused, and due to this condition, they're deteriorating. In other words, a dying race, dragons, fused with bodies not meant to support them, and their sole responsibility until the god of reincarnation comes back is to ferry dead souls and make sure that the world doesn't just die. Without the full mark of reincarnation, the god of reincarnation can't reincarnate and take over those duties. The mark of reincarnation keeps the god able to reincarnate itself without losing its own essence. The idea of who it is, what it does do effectively. It kind of takes you out of the cycle of reincarnation while sort of still keeping you in as you do get reborn. The god of reincarnation reincarnates. It's just that they don't quite do it as randomly as most living organisms. The other half of Mark of Reincarnation is in Heaven's Reach, the Titan city that was veiled by magic, technology, mumbo jumbo. We shatter that veil, but wonder how to get there, until we get an invitation from an evil organization called Mothis. Who is Mothis, and what does Mothis want? Mothis is made up out of original Parksolians that did not agree to merge with the dragons, plus their recruits, so whoever they recruited afterwards to their cause. Why did those Parksolians not want to merge with the dragons? Because originally they were fleeing a very mean god that used people as pawns and sacrifices without any actual care for them. This instilled hatred of gods into the future Mothis, which meant that they didn't want to ally with the servants of the reincarnation god. In fact, the original goal of Mothis was making a world where gods and humans can live as equals in peace and children feel no fear, or something along those lines. Instead, they took the prophecy tablet. We don't actually know who they got the prophecy tablet from, how they had it, or why they had it. Possibly stole it from their old god, I assume, and took that to the city of Titans, promising their Titan king immortality in exchange of like letting them join the city and like do their own stuff. That Titan king was named Asna. With the help of Mothis, this king named Asna took the mark of reincarnation for themselves and imprisoned the current god of reincarnation, allowing them to sacrifice one of their own people, a titan, and take over their body every single time when they got old, which enabled them to effectively live forever. Mothis, meanwhile, invented cocoons, which is like stasis technology, which allowed them to prolong their life by sleeping large amounts of it away. They also invented a soul corridor, which allows your soul to live in a place where time passes much, much slower, separate from your body. They needed this technology in order to be able to separate soul and body and assist in transferring souls between bodies. However, without the mark reincarnation, this only succeeds 1 in 10,000 tries, which means that Mothis, to this day, is still stuck without immortality for themselves. But the combination of Soul Corridor and the cocoons means that they kinda can put their body in the sleepy time and still spend some of that time conscious while just kinda sitting around in the Soul Corridor. It's kinda like, sitting in the astral and just chilling. Time's weird, but at the very least, you still get to exist. Doing the whole experiments thing was a lot easier for Mothis, and they were experimenting in order to, at the very least perfect the soul transfer so that they can also kinda, continue living for forever and conquer death. When the full mark of reincarnation was with the Titan King, that kept Heaven's Reach nice and safe and allowed Mothis to do their work. Effectively, Mothis promoted Titan King to godhood, and in return got to progress with their experiments in peace, and, use the whole mark of reincarnation or Titan King kinda as they need to, because it's kinda like a symbiotic relationship there going on, where, like, Titan King is very grateful, Mothis, gets nice spoils, everybody's happy. However, you currently have half of that mark, which means that Mothis can't revive their Titan King. They have the other half. Because you have half of it, they invite you over into Heaven's Reach in order to presumably take it to revive the Titan King. Your invitation to Heaven's Reach arrives early, which throws Mothis off and allows you to meander around the city. You meet Click, the Cogbud, which is a type of robot, which talks to you psychically and shows you around the city. You learn about Shroomceras, a type of mushroom that is grown in Heaven's Reach. You learn that the reason why Shroomceras are grown is for nutrients to feed the heart of the city, which is like a living device that is also powering all the machines in the city. Either way, heart of the city, le importante, and Shroomceras are kind of living fuel for it. You shut down the factory that turns mushrooms into nutrients. Click, the robot that was showing you around, dies in the process. You get arrested. Angered shows up and leads you through Soul Corridor to the Golden Feast, which is like the super special Mothis gathering that you were invited into actually, except that you want to ambush them instead of get yourself ambushed. You learn that Angered is part of Mothis, and not only part of not Mothis, but one of its original members. He was born into it, and his dad is a dick. Angered betrays his dad. His dad, while dying, collapses the Soul Corridor. Angered burns up all of his life energy to get you to the other side. You didn't quite get into the Golden Feast, but now you're at its back door, allowing you to surprise Mothis by just walking in. Angered is presumed dead. You shut down the outer part of Heart of the City, then walk into the Mothis secret gathering. Mothis revives the Titan King temporarily using the power of the Abyss, which is the bad blue goo that you can just kind of see in the overworld that, produces all of the enemies that you normally fight. It's so bad magic. And this magic can't sustain the king for forever. It's kind of temporary, but they kind of were like, yeah, we can do this thing. And then you have to fight the king. And the king is like super duper gonna like beat you up because like the king's awesome. So you fight and you win. Titan King kills off the founding members of Mothis before dying. Titan King admits to having been able to see the world for all that time that she was gone through the eyes of Click, the robot. She saw her civilization decline and die while trapped in said robot, unable to do anything. She doesn't regret her actions, She feels like she did what she had to protect her people. After all, by doing this, she secured quite the very lengthy golden age for them, where they prospered and technology prospered and they weren't starving, sick, or dying. But by defeating her and her kind of being like, yeah, that's fine, you do get the mark of reincarnation back. Now, welcome to Ephia / Icarus segment. This is where we talk about the god and its reincarnation, and it's the god of the reincarnation that I'm pretty sure is like confusing majority of the people. Now, the last picture in the scrapbook is broken for pretty much absolutely everybody, so watch the pretty me inside the sad bit of the story. Anyway, so originally Titans captured Icarus, the original god of reincarnation, tortured him, and used him to power the city. Icarus was, however, already in the process of rebirth, as he had a kid, a little dragon called Ephia, which was supposed to be the next god of reincarnation. He warned Ephia to not leave the boneyard even if he calls her to him, because he knew that what Titans will do will corrupt him and in his last moments make him not himself. It doesn't really help that the reason why the god of reincarnation reincarnates is that the whole process of ferrying souls is quite heavy and bad emotion ridden, so you kind of corrupt over time anyway, so having the god be reborn all the time kind of solves the problem of the god ever like just falling into abyss and becoming evil. So they can't do that because they keep on constantly reincarnating whenever they approach that part. So Icarus kind of knew that eventually he was gonna approach that part, especially if he is already in the process of having the kid and knowing that the kid is the next him. Ephia did not listen to that, and when called by Icarus, she walked straight into Heaven's Reach and was trapped too. Titans removed her heart, and that's the heart of the city that is fueling the city. Icarus seemingly dies by exploding into gold. It is not outright stated, but seems to be implied, as Titan civilization vanished in an eruption of gold. And also, Mothis got like super frightened, and like their original members jumped into their cocoons, which kind of allowed them to continue to exist and scheme and try and bring the Titan King back to begin with. Now, being tortured for 1,000 years, with, Ephia's heart being outside of her body and fueling the city, Ephia cursed the Titans to not be part of the cycle of reincarnation. So now most Titan souls were stuck in robots and the cogbutts that were being fueled by the heart of the city. Before you shut down that machine, that is. Now here's the fun bit, and the really confusing bit. Gods can splinter, and more than one point of view can exist at the same time. It is similar to what happened to the Titan King when the Mark of Reincarnation splintered. Titan King Asna divided with the Mark of Reincarnation and could experience both being asleep and not being revived and seeing life through the eyes of Click the Cogbud. So, similarly here, Ephia doesn't need to be in one space at any one time, though the process of how this happens seems to be kind of natural and not really in the control of the god entirely. The essence of Ephia inside heart of the city is there, but Ephia also managed to be born with half of the Mark of Reincarnation as a random girl in the forest that the Shroomlings found, at the same time as Medale is raising a cult from the Shrooms to aid Mothis and revive the Titan King. She was gonna use the Saintess, which is what that girl ended up being called, that's like a fuel source, and also the Shroomlings is like a fuel source, and it probably would have worked considering that the Saintess was carrying half of the Mark of Reincarnation and quite seemingly didn't know why. This girl, the Saintess, is too weak and too confused, being in this weird splintered god state. So she dies before she can put two and two together, and gives her fate over to Nikki to complete in her stead when Nikki wanders into the area. As Saintess is separate from her heart, she's pure and innocent, plus very, very confused. The heart is not pure and innocent. The heart is tortured and angry and can experience itself and its hurt and also all of the machines that it is powering. The moment you enter Heaven's Reach, a Saintess loses her purity and innocence as she effectively reunites with her hurt and tortured heart, and she is now also semi-corrupted by the Abyss. You walk through a dungeon helping Ephia, which is, let me remind you, reincarnation of Icarus, the Saintess, and the heart of the city. It's like, it's all one and the same. It's like, it's what was supposed to be the next god of reincarnation, but it did the mumbo jumbo bit when it kind of couldn't. So you walk through the dungeon helping Ephia heal her inner child. When she uncorrupts herself, you get to face the issue of, the mark of reincarnation is corrupted by the Abyss. But jolly good news, mushrooms. Shroomceras and shroomlings are not part of the reincarnation cycle, but they're like emergency battery of good grounding energy in case the cycle itself goes insane. So you do the Goku, give me your power move together with Ephia and heal the mark of the reincarnation cycle. Yippee! Titan souls are allowed to depart the robots and return to reincarnation. Remaining Mothis members get recruited into Terra Alliance and now concern themselves with protecting civilization's knowledge and nature. Mind you, those are young Mothis recruits. All old Mothis have perished when the Titan King Asna had swung at them before dying. So these are people that got recruited into Mothis while already kind of being adult, and they haven't lived long and they haven't experienced immortality in any way, shape, or form. So they're not necessarily like super evil. Some of them got like born into this. So they're like, well, I suppose who controls us kind of switched over. So okay, we do this now. Angered's pet fishes his soul out from the mass of souls that all try to depart the moment when you fix the reincarnation cycle, and as his body still existed, he's alive again. Yay! Berxolians are slowly healing, and the new god of reincarnation has taken over the cycle, so the whole world is no longer in a doom spiral. I have left out some bits of this explanation. For example, when the Saintess figures out that she's no longer pure enough to kind of stay with you, because Nikki is known as being very pure, so anything unpure kind of just icky, gross, unties itself from her. She takes over Wilhelm's body, but that was just so that she can get herself to her own heart, and she didn't want to hurt Wilhelm in any way. And when you meet her at the heart and she explains to you the whole mumbo jumbo of, that part that was with you is very innocent, but this is like my heart and it was being tortured for a lot of time, and whenever I reunited with it, I lost my innocence, so I couldn't stay with you. She kind of hijacks Wilhelm's body to just give you an explanation and then lets Wilhelm go, and Wilhelm has no side effects from that. There are also extra unexplained details, which is kind of just explained by Nikki herself is a god, and the Nikki that you control is one of the many timelines of Nikki's, which in itself could be seen as the same kind of splinter of a god a Saintess would be, because you were portrayed on a vase, from Itzaland in a scene that occurred 1,000 years ago, and that's why you go to Itzaland to begin with. You are also inside King Asna's memories as somebody that was helping the old Titans. Of course, not helping like subjugate a god, but that civilization was struggling. So, you know, before the whole god subjugation mumbo jumbo, you kind of helped them out and helped them struggle a lot less and fixed a lot of their issues. You were there effectively for the building of the Heaven's Reach, the city. But it's not Yu, it's like a different Nikki splinter. So we don't get a quite specific explanation for all of that, unless in the future patches the game wants to throw time travel at us. So for now, just assume that it's Nikki God shenanigans of it's not your Nikki, it's a Nikki that did all of that, and that is perfectly fine. I hope that this has helped you make sense of the story. If you think that I am wrong with this summary, please tell me in the comment section down below. If you have any questions, also please feel free to ask those in the comment section down below. Hopefully I'm able to answer. If not, I will just be like, I don't know, because it's not like I'm an expert on this lore. I was just paying extreme attention in the past patch cycle because it was very, very good, and that's what I took from it. So, thank you for watching. A review for this patch next week. It's gonna just be a very summarized bit because we got hit by a lot of lore, a lot of story wrap up, a giant new place, a good dungeon, a fight. Like, there is a lot. So I'm just gonna share my vibes in that. Other than that, I hope that I'm gonna see you in my other Infinity Nikki videos this week, as I tend to release at least 3 a week, sometimes more. Thank you so much for my Patreon supporters, and toodaloo for now.